This is Alan Moore, and today we're going to talk about things to do on a rainy day. Well, no, not really. This is BL Blankenship, right? He had. I think I have a nicer beard. I mean, it's like crazy longer. It's more wizardy than an actual like wizard. But yeah, whatever. It's weird that people's minds go there instead of Old Testament prophet. It tells you that there's something wrong. Anyway, so yeah, I just kind of got on today to do a little bit of a comic book rant live feed thing. If you are following me on YouTube, then you will see these things come up. I'm doing Restream for free, so I don't really have it to where it's hitting all my channels. I just have to go to my YouTube and share it. You're free to do that. Obviously, you can repost this, you can comment on it, you can do whatever. Hopefully that's advantageous instead of self-destructive, but hey, there you go. Indie comics is an interesting thing, as is the world of comics, and you get a lot of differing opinions from it. There is a particular individual who will go unnamed, um, that is under the distinct impression this is a comic creator that's worked with a lot of big names, kind of out of the way right now. May step back into it, but a well-known individual. I talked to a lot of people who feels like people just go to Comic Cons to dress up like Boba Fett and not buy comics and all that. Let me tell you, if you believe that, you don't know a thing about Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee has a super strong, super big comic book community. We have had big names like Joe Quesada, Gail Simone. The list goes on and on and on. Mark Spears, the whole shebang, people. You get that at Nirvana Comics, who apparently is known all around the entire planet right now. They do awesome stuff. They're kind of like centrally located. Then you got Comics Exchange. It's in the downtown area across the Henley Street Bridge. Do not cross the Gay Street Bridge. It's blocked off. It's like dilapidated. You'll die if you try to drive across it. It'll just crumble underneath you. People just walk on it now. And then there is also Crypto Comics, which is technically in Carnes, even though you could say Knoxville. Also, we have the Golden Age in 1942, and that is in Maryville, Tennessee. So you're going from Knox County to Blount County. As anybody knows, the Knoxville airport isn't really in Knoxville. It's in Alcoa, so it's in Blount County, Alcoa, Maryville, side by side. So that's just outside of Knoxville. You get on Pellissippi and you go that way. If you went the other way on Pellissippi, then you're in Oak Ridge. They've got small comic book stores all over. I just named 4 that have big name guests, but they've got a lot that don't have room for that. Tall Man in the Mall, Brickyard Collectibles, Without Fear Comics is in Oak Ridge, Beings Comics is in an antique mall in Harriman, Tennessee. The whole area is surrounded. Everybody lets everybody know what everybody's doing when there's something going on and supports it. There's several small comic conventions, and then you got a fanboy. This weekend, I'm super excited. On Saturday, I will be going up for my very first time to Heroes Con. Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, about 4.5 hour drive for me, by the way, is like all comics all the time. You know how most Comic Cons are? It's like comic shops that aren't, I mean, they've got comics, but it's really more like a hobby shop that has comics in the corner, like the Weird Kid and all that, because I guess that's what they got to do, right? A lot of conventions are that way. And the interesting thing about the Heroes Con is it's not like that. You can go and you can look at them online. It is put on by a comic shop that's there in that area, and it is hot stuff. Chris Claremont's going to be there. Dan Jurgens is going to be there. Adam Hughes is going to be there. Jeff DeCal is going to be there. I could go on and on and on naming people, Mike Barron, all kinds of people, from indie creators to like mainstream creators. We're talking writers and artists. They're going to be there. Different comic shops are going to be there. Comic related things are going to be there. Yes, they have a cosplay stage. Don't know how much money is involved in that. Yes, there will be a mystery machine. Yes, there will be the Ghostbusters. What is it? Ecto One will be there at the thing. So all kinds of stuff going on. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that that'll be really cool. I've got some books that I'm going to get signed. Um, my comic collection is getting more and more interesting. Some of it's a revolving door because I say, do I really want this comic? Do I really love this comic? I'm not somebody that just like collects. You hear sticky goose people like that talk about, collecting for something to be worth a bunch of money. No need for it something to be like disappointment to me. And that I'm way too avant-garde. Um, Again, I've said that I wore PF Flyers because Converse were too mainstream. I'm so Johnny Cash or Bob Dylan or whatever. It's just what I put off. It's just how I am. So I like what I like. I had to explain the Phantom Stranger to some young girl the other day. She asked me at the McKay's used books and CDs. She said, "What is that? Who is that?" And I told her, and she's like, "Man, that sounds really cool." And all that. Sweet girl. She is a big Damian Wayne fan who doesn't really get enough love. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of characters that aren't as mainstream that do have a following because you like what you like. Ragman would be an example of that. He's not Superman, he's not Batman, he's Ragman. He's got the suit of souls. All that. There's way lesser known characters that they've got a thing going on. So yeah, looking forward to this. Um, you know, in my last video, and if you look at it, you'll see 0 comments. But let's not be so stupid that you think that that really means 0 comments because I get private messages from all kinds of people saying one thing to one extreme and another thing to another extreme. I hear from people all over all the time. This is not an exaggeration, by the way. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's the Tom Brevoort was right thing, and we've got people that I agree that Tom Brevoort was right, and I have people saying things that I just don't know that I want to say. They don't like him and all that. But when you're right, you're right. And he just talked about character continuity and all that sort of thing, and how when Wolverine and Spider-Man were being looked at to join the Avengers, which the powers to be Joe Quesada and whatnot, which is a super nice guy. I get that impression. Everybody seems to think that when he wanted to add them to the Avengers, he said, but they would never do anything like that. And that's what I just held to. If people actually held to the, you know, Tom Brevoort was right about that, then nobody would be complaining about anything today. Every single person literally that wants to say you've wrecked this, you wrecked this, you've wrecked this, you've wrecked this, that's because you have failed abysmally to acknowledge the genius of Tom Brevoort that he was right. He was also right when he turned around and said the day later after leaving Mad, you know what? I apologize. You can write them however you want to write them. That too is true, but he was right one time more than the other. Make up your mind where that is, but I stand to think that he was right on there should be a consistent character. Yes, I know that they're fiction, but that is a sick, sorry excuse by someone that lacks any sort of talent in writing whatsoever. If you told a story about me or you or whoever, it would either sound like something that was within the realm of probability or not. Okay, but I'm not going to rehash and talk about that. I'm going to talk about some other things. Y'all can voice out, say what you want to say, leave it in the comments, whatever, share it, do it to it. We'll see what happens. I ain't worried. Watched a video here today with one indie creator hazing another indie creator. I don't even want to go ahead and like name drop too many names and all that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that that one of these particular indie creators in 4 hours raised over $40,000. Them and their posse. That man's name is Shane Davis, by the way. I'll just go ahead and say that. And the video was about how he is a complete failure, and how he's not doing as hot as he used to. Let me tell you why I think that that's stupid. And sure, whatever the numbers are the numbers. I think that when anything starts, that it's going to do hotter. Whether you do anything to sabotage that or not, I think that it's going to do hotter. I think that it sucks to call somebody out and say that, man, they failed when I I would be doing a dance and saying this is the Lord if I got $40,000 in 4 hours. If I got $40,000 in a 30-day campaign, I mean that would be like life changing. Let me tell you the thing with me, okay? So my first year in comics was last year, okay? And I'm totally independent. I'm not tied to any groups or anybody. Everybody loves me unless they're depraved and just stay, you don't even want to go around that person. Um but okay, so I started in 2024 and I'm a guy that I've been in music and everything that I hate to sit around and just mindlessly talk about doing stuff. Do you know the band that just practices and practices and practices and practices and practices and they never get up and do it? The person that talks about, this thing or that thing or this thing or that thing. I like to get things done. I like results. Results speak to me. Okay. So that's the way that I roll. That's the way that I live my life. I just jump up on stage and do it. People have told me that, man, you're one of the best drummers. That's bad wording, by the way. I feel like, the okayest drummer that I've ever heard. I have really good timing. I'm not fancy at all. People that I say are great drummers also are fantastic in some regard, but there's a lot of people that are dismissive of them because they don't do anything fancy. Ringo Starr and Meg White would be two of those people. I think that Ringo Starr and Meg White are amazing. If you don't, I just want to say that my opinion is that you're wrong and you suck. Um, why do I say that? Because they do what's good for the song. It's not that they're a great drummer, you know. They do what's good for the song. When you've got Jack White on the guitar, when you've got all this other stuff there, do you know what you do as a drummer? You keep the stupid beat. That's what you do. When you're Ringo and you've got all the other Beatles working their musical magic, you do what's good for the song. I'm all about being a minimalist in that. A minimalist in a lot of things. I wear my shoes till I wear them out. All right. So anyway, I heard that video. It was wild time action. There's a lot of people that praise and uplift various individuals within the indie comic sphere that you have going. And I listen to kind of everybody. I listen to some mainstream people. I listen to independent people. I have ears like a fox, eyes like a hawk, and maybe an owl. You got the big glasses, but you know what I mean. Like not in like the physical that I'm blind, since stigmatism too. But that. And a memory like a woman. I remember things well, except for numbers. Don't ever ask me to do math. I hate numbers. I told a kid in Sunday school that that's the reason why God named the worst book in the Bible Numbers, because he hates them too. And they looked at me real sincere and said, "Really? That's great." That they believe it as being an idiot. No, it's perfect. Every word that proceeds from the mouth of God is perfect, and there's no flaw or fault in it. But yeah, so I hear all this stuff. I think that there's different people that have different levels of oratory skill, and I think that sometimes the timing of that matters. Sometimes when it's topical, that matters. Certainly, there's a lot of 4-hour programs that are complete unadulterated brain rot, that I can't even endure. I can't even stand it. I'm not going to stand it. I'm not going to listen to all that stuff. But it's different when somebody is engaging with different people. A super popular individual with a lot of folks is this dude that's named Nerdrotic, who must know something about comics. He had a comic book shop for 10 years in San Francisco, California. And I recently saw an episode of him in the Hodge Twins today, and he wasn't talking a thing about comics so much, but he was talking about his life and how he used to be one bad dude and how he was in Old Folsom prison and the new fish and rape and what happens in the shower rooms and if you're a snitch they'll kill you and all this kind of stuff. It was an amazing episode because of all that type of thing. But too, whether you like them, whether you don't, that they're super dynamic, that they're laughing, that they're hooping, that they're hollering, that it's almost like Mystery Science Theater 3000 where they're making a joke over here and making a joke over there. So it's entertaining and lighthearted, as it should be. And they're kind of trying to like play to the audience that watches that typically. I watch everything. I was the dude that when I was a teenager that I watched, oh man, like Alex Jones and Democracy Now! So, like the most hardcore psychopath, if you don't want to believe that there's something wrong, the most hardcore psychopath factions. Tell me if there's one that's worse. On the left and the right for independent news, I was watching them both because you would hear things that you wouldn't otherwise hear. You know, the news, you think about all the stuff that they leave out, or maybe you don't. I think a lot of people don't think. Um, but yeah, there's all that, right? Lots of cool stuff is happening with me. I just went ahead and lettered 4 pages of an 8-page mini comic that is looking to be in an anthology. I was invited to be in that, and got proofreaders on Hellfire issue 1 and 2. That is a flip book. It's also got a comic on the opposite side, a short prose story on the opposite side. Why you got all these proofreaders reading this? Well, I got all these proofreaders reading this because I don't want to look like an idiot when I send it to Dark Horse and Image Comics and whoever else I may wind up sending this to. I want to know what my options are. I want to be on comic shop shelves. That's how we're doing it. I think I already even explained this, but in case I didn't, this is my evil plan. If all of these places decide to pass on this comic book series, 6 books in all, that's season 1, if they all decide to pass on my Hellfire thing, they're only making my life harder. The next thing that I would look to do would be to see if I could get enough comic shops that would purchase 250 comics. I would think like 25 shops, 10 comics a piece, whatever, unless you're talking about something that's big like Midtown Comics or whatnot, that Benny, the CEO of iShook, is not thrilled with because they turned him and 2 other people in the line. Only 3 people got turned away at the Scott Snyder thing. So he's indignant about that. I totally get that. You know, it's like you can't let 3 more people in. You know, this huge line in front of them, and they're not going to let 3 more people in. That's totally on Midtown Comics. I don't think that that's a Scott Snyder thing at all. The man's a sweetheart. If you can't love him, you can't love anybody. I mean, pretty well. I mean, he's a super nice guy. Yeah, so that's the plan. And then let's say that I can't get that and that doesn't work, even though y'all know that I go in a 3-hour radius from my home, basically Knoxville. I'm outside of Knoxville. I'm in Roane County, Roane. Um, but 3-hour radius. So we're talking about Lexington, Asheville, Huntsville, Clarksville. Am I leaving something out? Oh, the Marietta, Georgia is technically on the line. I just say Atlanta. Atlanta is a big place that really can go into like the 4-hour stuff or whatever. But Marietta is just it's like the closer to west side of Atlanta. So that's a lot of stuff. That is literally like the size of the state of Ohio that we're talking about for traveling distance. And I've heard other people come up with the same exact thing without asking me, without anything, that's just like some kind of hardwired, I'm going to say common sense, even though I don't know that that's the right word for it, kind of thing, that 3 hours distance isn't bad if you're going there and going back. You don't want to go 7, 8, whatever, unless somebody's like paying you to, or you're just going to be there in general, or if you just want to. But to just say I'm going to drive 3 hours in one direction or closer, and then 3 hours or less back to my house, that's not a bad thing to do, to get yourself out there, take pictures with the people. It's good marketing. It spreads the word, and that's building up a solid and nice home platform, right? So I'm basically Appalachia, is what not just Tennessee. I'm covering like Appalachia, y'all. And loving every bit of that. But yeah, I'm super excited to be down there with all of these great writers and artists, wonderful people in Marvel and DC. I read what I think that I'll like, and I keep reading things that I do like. I have had a number of people tell me that I should write for Marvel and DC. Some of these people work with or have worked with Marvel and DC, and a lot of them feel like Marvel and DC should 110% want me to work there because I've written literary books and whatever. It's almost like I was in Southern gospel music, that everybody in it pretty well knew who I was, but they couldn't like name a song or whatever. There's people that are fans of mine. There's people that love it. I was just recently in another anthology, Tumblebleed, absolutely excellent. It is going to be on Audible. I'm on two other things by the Texas Author Con, and that is Headblown and Headblown 2, TOO. And those are all horror. Mine is the only Western horror because that is the drum that I continued to beat when I was writing horror. Western horror is a subsect of Weird West. 1900s, extremely graphically dark and violent, easy to do. If you know jack squat about history, you know that. It was bad. It was bad to the Mexicans. It was bad to the Native Americans. It was bad to the people of the South. They were killing everybody. It was bad to slaves. They were killing everybody. So, we are talking about black people, unless that you start going down into the Bahamas, and then you're talking about white slavery, which people want to ignore, which is the Irish. The Irish were notably the garbage of white people. I don't know if you all are aware of this. The Chinese were the garbage of the Asian people, and they were treated like pure trash during the 1900s. That's the way that people looked at it. I'm just telling you. If you were Scottish or whatever, New York City did not want you. A lot of it didn't want you. That's where you got a lot of hillbillies from, like all these like people up in the mountaintops and like getting in with the Native Americans. It's like they hate me too. And so they came down here to Appalachia and all that. My family, the Blankenships, were from Northumberland. That's my dad's side, obviously. That's like northern England and everything like that. But yeah, hey, whatever. There's a castle there too. It was Blankensop used to. It was not Ian, it was Ian, and it was SOPP instead of like large boat ship. Yeah. So really cool thing. Got an awesome story in this, awesome stories in them all. Wonderful authors are in this. Check it out, Tumblebleed, y'all. But I just kind of wanted to go on this little adventure with you. Might get into more stuff if I could get somebody to come on with me, but it's Father's Day. And even though I am a daddy who heard from my son on the U.S. Navy base that he's at, I'm a sailor boy. A lot of people are doing things, keeping busy. It's not like I don't live at a run, but I thought, hey, let me just go on here, make a little bit of a rant. This is all that you're getting for me right now. The wife wants to spend time. She's making chicken fajita quesadillas right now. And I don't care to say that, yeah, she's like really white, but she's a great cook and can cook a lot of stuff. She was a Pafford before we met. That's from German descent. It doesn't even matter. But yeah, pretty hazel eyes and and all that. But she's my baby. She's everything that I've ever prayed for, everything that I've ever dreamed of. She's the woman that I've been waiting for all my life, that I thought was too good to be true. People would say that God's got somebody really special for you, and maybe if you're a sweetheart of a person, you've heard that all your life too, and it's really discouraging and makes you mad because you're like, well, he sure has taken his time with it. But we met at the right time, and all the other stuff feels like it's worth it. My worlds of blacks and whites and grays all turned into radiant, vivacious colors when I met my perfect Queen Victoria. So love it. Anyway, yeah, I will see a bunch of y'all down there at Heroes Con. Wish everybody the best. Keep me in your thoughts, prayers, that all of this hellfire stuff goes good. I really try to do unto others as I'd have them do unto me, and that's why I don't like crap on people's stuff. If you want to make something out there, whether you're in the mainstream, whether you're indie, whatever, that is just pure trash, you should be able to make that. People just don't have to read it. Whatever. Hellfire is going to be like rated M for mature. Basically, that kind of gives me a license to do whatever I want, even though I'm keeping it way more PG-13. You would assume that, I guess, if you like really know me. Okay. I don't want to cut off more readers with it, but yeah, it's going to be really violent, and it has dark themes, religious undertones, and all that. If you like Red Dragon, if you like Seven, if you like Frailty, if you like stuff like that, those are all movies. If you like all of those, then you will like beat somebody into traction if they're in your way of getting this book because you will be that obsessed with it. Um, yeah, this series of books, if they do well enough to substantiate doing more, I will. Um, if I get like somebody, I'm not saying like a Scotty Young or whatever, but if I get somebody that does like their own special variants that are exclusives or whatever, I might be open to that. But I'm not going to do this garbage that I hate when how comic uh, companies do this because it oppresses publishers. How you have it where if you get 10 books of this cover, then you can get one of this more desirable cover. I just want to say to everybody that's doing that in regards to that, that you suck. You're making it harder for these small businesses to make money. Stop it, you moron. I get that you want to make your quota. I get that you've got to make money, but you're making it hard on them. They don't have to do it. I know, right? But I feel like some of them feel like they're tied into doing it. Whatever. It was a good idea at the time. I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to have a like an A cover, right? And then if they go out for another printing, it'll be a different cover. That way you can discernibly tell that it's a different printing. Or if Scotty Young, that that's probably not the best example for this ultraviolet series. I just know that his stuff sells like it's drugs. If Jeff DeCal or if Aaron Campbell or if Adam Hughes. I'm naming artists by the way that I particularly think that their stuff is awesome, and so you can like tell them that I said that. If any of these like photo realistic Rebecca Puebla or whatever artists say I have a store online and I can sell the living unmerciful crap out of anything that I put it on, and yes, an artist, but I'm not one of these idiots that thinks because I'm an artist that I can just go ahead and write some schlock. Not that I'll do. Um, but I'm going to get somebody that like bleeds author, writer. Wow. Make up your own mind. I mean, you may think I suck, whatever. But if you like that, if you think, man, he's putting out good quality stuff and I could do a cover that would blow people's minds, hey, I'm open to doing that for you giving me a percentage of that. So I'm that chill. I don't like rules. I don't really like contracts. Do you know what I do? I do what I say I'm going to do. That's the way that I am. It's like, don't give me another contract. Don't give me an empty promise. Just do what you say you're going to do. I mean that to anybody. I'll do some things for cheap. I'll do some things for free because I want to do them. If something's a hassle, if something's a pain, um, it ought to cost more. You ought to charge more. If you want to do fan art and all that, I want you to feel like it's worth your while. I want you to say that everything that I have done, that I've touched, that involved B.L. Blankenship, Benjamin Lee Blankenship, not Bill Blankenship, that's another comic guy, that it was worth it all, to quote the title of the old gospel song. Appreciate all y'all. That's where I'm at. That's what I think. I'm not about all this garbage about trashing other people. I know Kelly Sue DeConnick has got attacked by people that apparently have the memory of a goldfish that don't even listen to the rest of the interview, where she said, if you don't like my politics, don't read my books, because she was being attacked and you're still attacking her, right? She was making her comic. I'm just going to say the word bitch planet, right? That's the name of the comic series. If somebody wants to make something that you think is crap, just don't read it. She wasn't taking a character that you liked and screwing with them. She was making her own comic, her own way. If you don't like the comic, don't read the comic. Treat her the way that you would want to be treated. You know, right on. This is BL Blankenship. Y'all have a lovely night, and it would be cool if like some people wanted to hang out, talk about this. DM me if you're one of those people, and we can go ahead and do that. I got to get off here, or my wife will beat me